I would describe this overall period of the year as a really intense time. And the best advice I would give is to unplug from those very things that are holding us back from the things that we need to achieve in this lifetime. And there may be a long list of things that we need to achieve in this lifetime. Spiritual evolution, certain goals. What are those goals? So we need to start removing those obstacles, and so much of what is in the media, alternative and mainstream media, is junk. So much of it is junk. So much of what is on the internet is junk. Now, there's a lot of things that are really good that are on the internet. It's just a matter of sifting through the dumpster. And so we have to adjust our eyesight to see the gems that are there. Now, what I've been doing the last few days is watching a lot of videos and just contemplating things that I believe are the most important things to contemplate. And that's more important than doing a bunch of videos. Sometimes it's best to pause and absorb new ideas and information, hit a reset. It's cyclical. Just to step back and take a few days away from whatever it is that we do. Now, things are already difficult economically, but I don't do this for money. Sure, I need to generate an income, but it's not the motivation. It's not what motivated me to start thinking differently. I just happen to think differently than most humans alive today. Very differently. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's something that scares some people. A lot of my ideas are outside their frame of reference. Thus, I choose to step outside of their matrix. But I'm still attempting to influence in a positive manner the collective, but I'm not going to allow myself to get pulled into the underground because of the level of consciousness that elements of the collective consciousness are at. There's a reason why I do what I do, and why I'm reaching out to those of you that are listening, and I'm seeking to encourage you to explore your spiritual side as we literally walk through the dark side. We are literally entering potentially new dark ages, and we need to activate to a higher level of spiritual strength to survive. That is our goal. That's my goal. And you're a part of this journey with me, as I am a real human being. I'm not a machine, nor am I a celebrity, nor am I somewhere in some ivory tower, in some studio, in some 33rd floor somewhere in a major city, working for the corporation. Instead, I've opted out from a lot of urban living and the luxuries that go along with that. And I've accepted the challenges that come with living somewhat isolated from society. But I choose to recognize that I created this reality and I'm making the most of it. And so I'm bringing these concepts to you now. I'm talking about things that I'm going through. I'm also offering advice. And my advice in the moment is to unplug from those disinformation sources and even excess entertainment sources. And hey, you know what? There's a time for movies. There's a time for even movies that get us thinking about reality differently, especially if it sparks something within us. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that's something that, could be recommended over watching fear mongering disinformation on the internet about hypothetical events. And it's become clearer to me than ever that there are entities that are absorbing the emotional energy caused by fear. And I think the events that we've seen very recently confirm that. Lesser known to much of the population, there seems to be a correlation with when we have these solar events or when we have a geomagnetic storms, we have these manufactured events on the planet. And sometimes we have geomagnetic storms or an increase in them, for example, as I will show you in just a moment, real briefly. Just want to make sure you see this. All right, excuse the clicking, not working with the mouse. So we're going to go over here, and I'm going to show you what we have on the table over here. This is some news about, of course, we have the sun is sliding into a deep solar minimum that continues to defy some expectations. For much of the past week, the sun was absolutely blank, no sunspots, and sunspot activity was deemed very low. Nonetheless, space weather was stormy from October 11th through the 15th. Not a single day went by without a geomagnetic storm. Brighter auroras were sighted not only around the poles, but also in a number of U.S. states. Now, spaceweather.gov. Here we have the planetary K index. And so it's basically saying that between the 11th and the 15th, we had ongoing geomagnetic storms. And here we are in the calm of it. A couple other things that I noticed here. Meditation can actually lead to growth in certain regions of the brain. You may want to look at that. And it seems that as we go into solar minimum, I just want to make a point of that. There seems to be an increase in meditation. And I noticed this when I became increasingly interested in meditation and my own spiritual growth in 2003 and 2004. And by 2005, by the summer of 2005, I was hosting a weekly show called Outside the Box. And my ideas would grow. My show would grow over time, and I'd go through different cycles in my own life, different levels of self-discovery and soul searching. And there's different other terminologies people use, soul retrieval, but definitely this is another period that I'm in right now of just reset and reflection and making the most of the time that I have, and periodically, of course, focusing on gratitude. And actually, this picture here, now that I notice it, features a bowl, and I've been contemplating getting a singing bowl. I was actually just listening to the radio the other day, and the radio had like a different sound resonance than listening to the music from my computer speakers. So I am thinking about things like that more. Probably the second or third week since my last actual cigarette. I've also been dealing with a tooth infection, as most of you know that are regular listeners to this channel. And right now, I can say that there is no emergency need to see a dentist. From changing the environment within my mouth, and this is really a metaphor for other things, right? Sometimes we encounter pain, great pain, to get us to wake up that we have to make a change. Otherwise, we're going to stay in pain, and that infection's going to spread. Society, right, could take a little bit of a lesson from its own teeth issues. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I really think that this is a period in time for people to really step back from the disinformation and experience their own like wake up from within, because we never stop waking up. It's a constant process, it's cyclical. But sometimes there are periods in which a lot of people are seeking to wake up all at once. And you may also notice and pick up on the pattern of a lot of manufactured events geared towards keeping us in a state of fear. During those periods in which a lot of people are waking up, we may see things happening around us. I think I should come back with a later video at another time and talk about that. Again, as we start waking up and our frequency starts going up, we may experience various elements of energy backlash, but not necessarily from outside of ourselves, even from within our own consciousness. It's important that we deal with those aspects within us that need to evolve. And this is about self responsibility. This is about becoming a more powerful, self empowered individual as we go about our